Warning, the following program contains adult language, adult themes, and spoilers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of This Week's Episode. It's the week of not July 19th, it's the week of August 19th, because I can't write a script. This is episode 236, and I am your host, Kris Randazzo. Joining me tonight, as always, is Turkey Day Target Practice, Karen Randazzo.
Do you want to come with me to my podiatrist appointment?
Lightsaber Umbrella, Angie Fernot.
Noise.
And the last man, Evan Goldstein.
Where does this boy live?
Tonight, Star Wars turns anime, why The Last Man gets a trailer we've been waiting for, major Doctor Who shakeups, and more. But first, how's everyone doing? Sorry, I didn't do my newsman voice. I didn't want to.
This just in, I didn't want to.
Breaking news, everybody. Kris is fucking lazy tonight.
I give up.
He's quitting
He's not
newsing.
lazy. He's been working hard on other things.
I just kind of felt like the bit had run its course, you know? I felt more like just, you know what? I'm just going to be myself. I'm not a news anchor.
You've run your course, sir.
I appreciate
run my
everything that
course.
you do
My
for our news
secondary joke was funny for a little while, and now the horse has been beaten. It's very dead, and it's time to move on to greener horses.
We broke the stick.
Greener horses. Nice.
Listen. If I'm being real about this, I loved your news voice, and I'm sad to see it go, but I also love how hard you work for us, so put your energy into the things that matter, and it's not that voice.
That's right. When you fall off a horse, you get back up, and you eat that horse.
Yes. Make sure you punch it
I
first,
don't
so
know how many
it
more
knows
pu-
that you know that it knows.
He's going to come up with a
Come
bunch
eat
of more.
that horse with me.
See? More horse talk. Welcome to episode
Nay.
236. Horse talk.
We're not horsing around.
So,
Join us next
I
week
make
for an
that
all
noise
BoJack Horseman episode of this week's
often.
episode.
Okay, I make that noise quite a bit because that's my go-to funny thing with Angie. But
You guys both make that noise.
the other day,
And it's like the same noise. It's really impressive.
the other day I walked into the kitchen and she was making something at the stove, and I looked at it and I actually did. It was real.
Yep, it was real. It was funny. I was watching. I was like, is he going to be able to hold this one in?
Nope, it was bad. I don't know
I
what.
thought this was going to be a boy who cried situation. And couldn't tell if it was real or not.
No.
You might say he's a naysayer.
Oh, God, we gotta stop.
Oh! Yes!
I can turn down your microphone. You know that, right?
But you won't.
Persian woman.
She's going to put that in the wedding vows. Shit, I signed off on that.
Anywho,
so it's been a couple of weeks, at least, since we've done a proper news episode, so we've got a bunch to catch up on.
Right.
That's going to be fun, but in the meantime, we should talk about what we've been watching, because I know I've been watching lots of stuff. I know Karen's been watching some good stuff. I'm sure Evan's been watching stuff, but Angie, you've definitely been watching more than the rest of us.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's right.
tons and tons. I mean,
I have not left my couch. Can you tell I'm serious, everybody? Because I'm not.
We did spend that afternoon with Travis watching the most random selection of television shows and movies. We had a friend of ours stay for a couple of days, and he has some eclectic tastes in shows and
Yes.
movies. Like,
He
How
so
very
one.
diplomatic of you.
yeah.
Well, we watched A Clockwork Orange. I'd never seen it before. Not that that's a show, but as far as watching things goes,
Clockwork Orange, the series.
bleh.
Yikes.
It was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
With your eyes pinned open, everybody in the audience. Anywho,
That would be
The
awful.
DVD sets come with their own pins.
Clockwork Orange, it gets its heyday.
all right, you got to stop. Stop it now.
Never.
At one point in time, we came in, he was watching all of the Max. I remember that.
Yeah, which was great because I hadn't seen all of it, so I started figuring out what the hell's going on in that show.
That was,
Good luck.
yeah. It was crazy.
There was, 6 episodes?
No,
12?
11 or 12.
God, it really was that many.
Yeah.
There were.
I was obsessed with that show and then eventually that comic, but I was totally obsessed with that show. Hence my email address is themax423@yahoo.com. But yeah, it's I loved that show. I loved all the voice acting and everything about it. I loved the animation style. How it was just such a comic book come to life, but not the motion comics that you see,
Right.
or at least you saw like several years ago. That show was gorgeous and amazing and really confusing.
Well, that was the comic. Like that book was a confusing book. The art style of the show was the art style of the book. Like they really did that book justice with that television show.
Absolutely. That was a straight adaptation of the comic book, almost word for word, and it was gorgeous. I still love watching that show. I haven't seen it in way too long, but those were the days, man. MTV's oddities, huh?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it was great though. Like, I would definitely say that I'm still a little confused about what the hell was happening, but
I think you're supposed to be.
yeah, but it does toward the end of the show, like it did seem to be, I don't know, getting clearer. Like there was stuff that was literally like, I'm this thing, and this is the explanation of what's actually happening.
Yes, I am this in this world. I am something else in that world, and
well, like with Julie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Julie
like
Winters.
she had like at one point she kind of like goes inside her own mind, I guess. I think she was dreaming or something. And like her subconscious was basically like, oh yeah, no, you totally made up the Max so that you could cope with your trauma.
But like the Max was actually a dude that existed in the real world that somehow got caught up as her Max in her the Outback, her effectively her subconscious coping mechanism.
Right. But then my question is like, is it him actually getting caught in something? Like, is it mystical, or is it just her like taking this person and turning him into whatever the fuck she needs to cope? Like her savior, her protector, her guardian inside of her mind, even though like he's some random dude who doesn't really know her in real life.
I always assumed there was some sort of mystical connection because Mr. Gone is there and he's kind of a sorcerer, but also the fact that this is happening to Max too. You know, if it was just something that she was, a construct of her own imagination, then he wouldn't also be experiencing this. But he is very real experiencing it, like in the real life. This poor homeless guy. I forget his name. Wasn't it Dave?
I don't remember at all.
Yeah,
in
that's
the
a
comics,
question
they
I can't
eventually,
answer.
mentioned his name. I think it was Dave. Because that was that one episode where he was the Dr. Seuss episode where he was being attacked by these monsters all named Dave. He was going to drown in an ocean of Diet Root Beer.
I forgot about that. They actually do say his name in that episode because that was like the last one I watched.
But I don't think the show was overt about that being his name. He just said that he was being attacked by things all named Dave.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff I was missing. So, interesting. But yeah,
I mean, I used to watch that show over and over again. I had this friend, Kris Galante, and he and I like watched the series over the phone one time, like together. We both had it recorded on VHS, and we would just like we were dissecting it the whole time that we were watching it, like trying to figure out what everything meant, and like just we were basically doing our own commentary, but like at our own houses, which was super fun. Like it was the nerdiest stuff, but man, I have a good time with that. I could talk forever about the Max, so I'm going to shut up now.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, it's essentially like you were having a podcast before a podcast.
Yeah, it was definitely before podcasts were a thing. It was before pods were a thing.
Pod people.
It has nothing to do with pods. It has nothing to do with people. It has everything to do with hurting.
Good stuff.
So, yeah. Yeah, that was fun. His taste in stuff is weird.
I mean, we tried to introduce him to like because he is a he goes to like flea markets and stuff, and he resells a lot of things. So I showed him that Handcrafted America show, which is this woman in like interviewing 3 different people that do something amazingly creative with their hands, essentially, like leather crafting. There's one guy who made guns, knives, like it was, and it's all really, really well done stuff. But like he enjoyed the hell out of that. I know he watched Container Homes for some reason, because like all 5 of those episodes are rewatched on the Plex.
Because why not? That show is great.
And I came in and he was watching Lego Masters. I'm like, really? This is where we're at now? We're at Lego Masters.
No, you don't say really, okay? I watched that show. That is worth watching.
He turned to me and he goes, I can't take this show seriously. And I go, why? He goes, because that guy he's Batman.
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett is just Batman now. I can't take him seriously. I'm like, all right, that makes sense.
You're really not supposed to, though. He's still utterly ridiculous on that show for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
I mean, it is just to watch so much time and energy go into designing those beautiful, beautiful Lego sets. I mean, I wish I had that kind of time.
The thing that was great was when they had the episode where they had to build them and then smash them. So they built these awesome Lego creations and then they filmed them exploding. It was great.
I always wish I remembered to show that to John, because I feel like he would enjoy that.
Lego Masters?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably Ellie too, because she builds Legos too, but he is like Lego boy.
Yeah, I'm
Especially
100%
Lego
a
Mario.
fan.
Lego Masters of the Universe.
Watch it.
What else did we watch? He showed us an episode of Marvel 616. Did you guys check that out at all?
I have not checked that out. No.
All right,
Is
so
that a series?
It's like a mini series. It's a bunch of randomness about Marvel, the industry, if you will, and
I thought that was like I've seen it pop up on Disney Plus. I just
Yeah.
assumed it was a TV movie.
No,
it's a series.
It's a bunch of episodes, and the one that he specifically made me watch was episode 7, the Marvel Method, because it's about like, so in the comic book world, there's this writer named Dan Slott who has done some amazing writing, but he's always done it late. He is infamous for being late. And this episode explained what in the business they call the Marvel method, where it's the writer comes up with this very generalized story, and then the artist does a lot of the heavy lifting for the creation of the story. They really, every other, well, even Marvel now, he's probably like the last guy that truly does the Marvel method. Everybody else works with scripts and they say, hey, artist, draw this. This made comic book creation look horrible. Like it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Disney put it out. Like this just made it just made Marvel look bad. And I get it. Like I get Dan, being as important as he was, but like they were talking about there was back in the day they created a character called Iron Man 2020, and it was the next person, like Tony Stark's brother was taking over. Arno Stark.
Arno Stark.
And
what a name!
In the year 2020, Dan Slott was charged with writing Iron Man 2020, and I mean those that know comic books will recognize Iron Man 2020 because he had these giant cogs on his shoulders, like the most uncomfortable looking thing. But like they said, it was like a month and a half out, and they said, Dan, here's your project, get to it. And then they're showing him trying to do this, and every 5 minutes it would go 2 weeks, or 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out. We're bringing in another writer to help you. Like it was so unprofessional looking. Like it made him look so unprofessional. I mean, the aesthetics of the show were great. It's it's Disney, but I don't understand what they were shooting for with this episode. So he was marveled by it, and he said, "You have to watch this," and I did, and I completely understood what.
It was too honest. That was the problem. So for anyone who's ever tried to do a project with artists, we're flaky. We take a long time.
But
we
it
can be
wasn't-
inconsistent with meeting deadlines
It's
or
not the
goals.
artist; he's the writer.
Right,
Like, they
but it's
literally
creative people in general, right? So I have to stop doing that. I lump writers in with artists, but truly,
Hey, I'm an artist.
every category has its own things. But in the comic world, what I've noticed is that it's pretty consistent across the board. Artists and writers, fucking flaky. So it tends to be a thing where you can the most successful people are usually more on time now, but it wasn't always like that. And this seems to be one of those cases where people were like, "Oh no, it's cool." And this is a common thing that I was taught about when I was at the Kubert School, was like, you're going to end up in situations where you're going to be working with someone and they're the person who sends you stuff way behind deadline, and then you have to meet your deadline to not screw over the person that's next in line, because that's how comics work. It's not great.
This sounds a lot like my job, except I'm the person at the end of the line and no one else gives a shit.
Right. Well,
Welcome to
there's a
lettering.
couple of steps like after, the writer and the artist, like it has to go to print and all that like shit that they're like
The
no,
writer, the inker, the colorist, the letterer, then there's still editing that has to get
There
done.
were scenes where they kept going back to this one scene of Dan Slott sitting at his desk, and it was at a laptop, and it was from a perspective of you like sitting on the other side of the desk looking at him typing, and he was very small, and there was a big open black space above him where they could show as he's typing the words come up, like they do for the visualization of typing, and he would type, stop, erase, type, pause, touch his head. What am I doing? I've been doing this for 30, and I'm like, what is the fucking point of this? Like, this is this could have been 20-minute show, and it was an hour. Like, move along with the information. It was not done well. It was just not good. But, you know what? I'm gonna hold on to the other Marvel thing because we're all gonna talk about that in a hot second. I caught up on Future Man and what.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso I watched today, and I love that fucking show.
Me too.
Oh
It's
my
so
god, it's the
good.
best.
I walked in while he was watching it. I watched about 10 minutes of it, and it made me cry. I was like, wow, this show is ridiculous.
Like the Christmas, like the most.
The Christmas one.
That was the most
Oh my
recent
God,
episode.
it
Like
was
I
so
watched that
good.
today, and like the heartwarminess of all of the football players showing up to that guy's house because they don't have their families, and the two of them going out and giving out gifts, and the poor little girl with the bad breath. Like there was so many heartwarming aspects to this 45-minute episode, if that. It's such a good show. Everybody should watch Ted Lasso.
And the number of times that I have referred back to that conversation between Roy and Rebecca about just your kids just want to be involved in whatever you're doing. And like I have since I seen that, I swear to God I've told like 5 people about that. And they're all like, "Oh my God, you're right!" Like they don't care. They'll come to your podiatrist appointment if that's what you're doing, and they'll be happy. Like you don't have to entertain them. What did you do today with Ellie? Clean out her closet, and she was like, "Yay!"
That when she's telling them about the little boy that gave the gift and his reaction, like, I'm gonna tear this little fucker's head off. It's like everybody plays their parts so well in this show, and everybody is growing, which is really nice to see. Even what's his name, Jamie, like he's
that was like I was expecting that to be a lot more dramatic this season, and he's just kind of like, all right, everyone's cool now, which is weird. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop with him.
right.
But go on.
We'll see. We'll see. But that is a great show that everybody should watch. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else? All right. I'm good to talk about you guys, because I want us to talk all about What If. Okay? Now, I don't know if you guys have watched other shit, if you want to cover your stuff first, because I got some things to say about What If.
What if we didn't?
I see what you did there.
Then you have to listen to the beginning of the show because there are spoilers ahead.
No, we did. We have many thoughts. All right, I guess I'll go next. Was there anything that Angie wanted to talk about?
Okay, so not really getting to watch television. I wanted to explain why to everybody. So, I'm really excited because I actually published a second comic anthology this month.
This week.
Thank you. Yeah, a week ago, by the time this comes out, Evan actually was a part of this project. We have been working on this since the beginning of the year, so this has been like literally the whole year I've been working on this, and I got a bunch of local artists from the area in which we live to work on this. So we live in Wilmington, and I got people from all over town and collaborated with our local comic shop, Memory Lane Comics, and this is the second book. So the first one, like I worked side by side with the owner of the store, and he's got a brother who like was kind of behind the scenes helping, but I got the go ahead from them for the second issue to kind of just run the whole thing. And so that's what I've done for months. I would hold meetings, I would coach the artists, I helped them meet their deadlines, I gathered information and shared the information. I had just like artist drawing nights to keep each other motivated and get to know one another and build a community. I just like did everything, and it's been a lot of work, and I'm really, really proud of everyone who was involved, and it was a huge success, and we still have books available on their website. I'm selling them on my Etsy store now so that like, you know, I can get my copies out with my signature. We found one of the books in the wild at the bookstore the other day. It was so awesome.
That was awesome. We were doing a wander through town, and we ended up in a used bookstore, and I have this weird tendency to find things, like whether it be Greg Hildebrand stuff or stuff for us, and I passed by one shelf, and one of the first issues was just sitting on top, and I grabbed it and I showed it to her, and she got really excited, and she brought it up front to, you know, say, hey, where did you get this? And they had a conversation about it, and she got to sign it for her. It was the nicest thing to see something like that happen out in the wild. When you're
pretty nuts.
When you're at the store that has, you know, supported it, like I get that, like they're paying for it, it's going to be there. But, you know, wandering around and seeing it in just a spot that you wouldn't expect was great, and I was very, very proud of her.
Thank you.
On Friday night, we did a launch party, a release for the book, which was at a coffee shop, and I've been doing conventions for many, many years, and I get this idea of what I should expect for turnout, and I really thought this is good. There was 11 artists in a coffee shop that we all set up tables. Most of them had never tabled before, and I expected it to be just me, 11 artists, the 2 owners of the shop, and the girl working the counter to sell us coffee. Like, that's what I expected, because it was a release party. The hours last minute changed, and it's a very local thing. I shit you not, there was at least 100 people through that door. I was so proud of the group. Everybody did great. I watched there was this girl, I'm not going to say names. I don't know if I should or not, but
yes, her name is Mel, Melissa New City, and she's selling her stuff on her website. It's awesome.
So
she has body positivity.
She was so nervous about tabling because she had never tabled before, and I was working like the sell book table. Like, I was just doing the sales for just that 1 or 2 issues, and I was able to see everybody. And I watched a normie come in and walk over to her table, and I watched the first sale of that event happen, and it was to her. And I walked right up to her, and I gave her a big old high five, and I said, congratulations, everybody in here is still sitting and waiting. You made the first official sale of this event. And she got all teary-eyed, and it was so sweet.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she, like,
wonderful.
ran over and started crying, and she's like, Angie, I did it, oh my god, because she was so nervous about this. And she, for weeks, she was calling me and texting me like every few days being like, okay, so I did this thing, or I had this thought, and I was like, yeah, okay, great, yes, keep doing this. And there was a lot of concern about, is this going to sell, is this not going to sell, because some of the artists that worked on this book, like, they did comics and the stories, but they're not comic artists. Like, one of them does high fantasy illustrations. She does like a lot of nudes with like these very soft, beautiful images of women that are like all sorts of body types. And so it was not typical comic stuff. And I just had a feeling that there were enough people that were going to be into this, that it was going to work. And I was really, really lucky because I was right.
You weren't lucky, you're smart. I know what you're
Well, thank
talking
you.
about.
It was a gamble. It's always a gamble.
Well, it shows the difference because
yeah.
we did issue 1 right at the head of the pandemic, and it sort of just stayed flat. But we had the availability to do it now, where we had 2 events. We had the release party, and then the next day was Free Comic Book Day, and we did a mini con for the book. Like, all of the artists and the writers, we all had there was a room with a bunch of tables set up. They were giving out the store was doing their free comics in a separate venue, so that they could separate the people from their store, because they have a very small store. And like
It was cool. It worked out.
as a promoter, as a guy who runs shows, what you want to happen, especially at a free show, like, nobody's paying to get in the door, you want the artists and the vendors to make money, and everybody made money. And that was the biggest, most fantastical part of the thing. Like, yeah, we sold hundreds of copies of the comic, which is great, but after that, on Free Comic Book Day, where every person that's coming into that venue is looking for free stuff, for the artists to still make money speaks volumes about those people and their talents.
It's a gamble. Yeah.
I was so happy for them. I was so proud of my baby. She put a lot of work and a lot of effort into it. And
Thank you.
at one point in time, she had a line going to her table to just get signatures.
Guys,
on
it was
the book.
so weird. It was so weird. Oh my God. No, it was.
I actually, at one point in time, had to turn, and Angie had like the girl who wrote and her boyfriend were standing he was standing at the table, and I could see him, and Angie wasn't looking at me, and I looked at him and I said, you need to make her go faster, because she had a line of like 8 people, and it was literally going back into the next room.
I didn't realize the line was for me. That was the problem. I don't have lines. Nobody forms a line for me, but I was the cover artist on these 2 issues. Like, I'm the main cover artist, and so, he'd be like, oh, the Style A cover artist is right there. And he'd point to me, and I didn't know that was happening. So I was just
that really pretty girl
chatting.
with the purple hair in the corner. That's the cover artist if you want to go get her signature. So.
But yeah, so that craziness is why, prepping for that, helping everyone get ready, having company. That's why I haven't really watched stuff lately. Plus, I've been teaching. So, yeah, thanks for letting me talk about it, guys. I'm really excited. And
we'll put a link to it in the show notes. That the book is called Tales of Cape Fear.
Yeah.
There's 2 issues. 28 page?
I don't know. The first one is like between 28 and 32 pages. It's one of those. And then the second one is like almost double the size, and it's the same price. It's like a stupidly good price.
Yeah, we did a couple of different variant covers. We did a cover A and a cover B because we tried to get another local artist who's really popular in this area, especially with the Black Lives Matter program that they have going on in Wilmington. Plus, we put out sketch covers, blanks. But Angie did cover A for both issues 1 and 2, and then cover B for issue 1. Mm-hmm. HP Fangs did cover B for issue 2, and all of it is available at Memory Lane Comics down at their website. Like I said, we'll put a link to it in the show notes. Yeah, we have a pinup section in issue 2. I love pinup sections. Fuck doing extra covers. Give me a set of posters inside the book so I could see different people's art styles. I love it. So good.
All right, enough about that.
Very proud of you, baby.
Thank you. Oh, you're making me uncomfortable talking about this too much.
You are excused from doing this, sweetheart.
Thank you.
You are excused from watching all TV and dealing with all of that.
I appreciate that. I promise it will be better now. We got the school where I teach got shut down because we have another COVID exposure. So yay, staying at home and not doing anything.
Jesus.
Do you guys have mask mandates yet up north?
What?
Do you have a mask mandate yet up north?
No.
Not yet? Okay.
It's been suggested, so you see signs in front of all the stores that say, "Could you, please?"
Well, yeah,
But,
we
you know,
really
Yeah.
still
appreciate
have
it.
that down here, but they are now on the 20th. They're doing indoor mandate where everybody, whether you're vaccinated or not, has to wear a mask again.
It's gotta come.
Yeah, it's coming.
We haven't started school yet up here, so
Gotcha.
that's gonna be the thing.
So, but all right, guys, what did you watch? Ready, go.
Would you like to go first, my dear?
Sure. I don't have much. I took back a very cute 6-episode little series on HBO called Starstruck. Very cute, about this Australian woman living in London who ends up meeting and having a one-night stand with a guy that she finds out the next morning is like a huge movie star. And then the series goes over the course of a year, and they're like random meetings or like on purpose meetings. It's very, kind of awkward. It's a lot of
genre?
awkward comedy, so it might not be good for Evan.
Is it?
Wait, what's the genre? Is this like a rom-com type
It's
deal?
like rom-com. Yeah.
Oh yes, that's my jam.
Did you see Notting Hill?
Yes, a long time ago.
Sounds like that, except role reversed.
Yeah, so it's very cute, and I highly recommend it. The woman is in it, whose name escapes me, is very funny, and the movie star guy is very cute. So yeah, enjoyed that. Since we missed an episode back a month ago, we forgot to mention something that we watched that was very interesting. It wasn't exactly a show, it was a comedy special on Netflix. It was sort of a comedy special. It's, we're old and behind the curve, so it's something everybody has already seen and talked about who's
Bo
younger than
Burnham?
us.
Is it?
Was it Bo Burnham?
Yeah, Bo Burnham inside.
Yeah.
That was so good.
I have not watched it in its entirety because it still freaks me out.
That guy is crazy talented, though.
Yes. Yes, he is.
And it freaks me out, like, that he was vulnerable enough to put all of that stuff out into the world.
Yep.
Like, that's some serious mental health shit. Like raw, vulnerable. I don't know. There's no other word than vulnerable to describe it. It's just like, wow.
It's amazing.
He reminds me of, like, I can hear even vocally of Weird Al.
Yeah.
But like the next generation or the next step, because Weird Al's never done any, like, foul language or anything like that. Nor has he ever been very, like, he doesn't comment much on current events other than, like, pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he does the, polka medleys of whatever songs are popular, or he'll talk about, like, but he never, like, takes on serious stuff that's going on. And so, yeah, I mean, I can only add to the chorus of the internet saying, like, this guy is a genius, this thing is amazing. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Cool.
And I think...
Yeah, I was pretty thoroughly impressed by that myself. I was more impressed by the beginning. I guess, all right, it's difficult to say. I enjoyed the beginning of it a lot more.
Doesn't it get really depressing as it goes on?
I don't know if it's necessarily really depressing. It definitely has its low points in terms of, like, depression.
Okay.
But it does maintain a degree of being interesting. But I mean, as somebody who was there more for something being funny, I got a lot more out of the beginning of it, because I mean, the white woman's Instagram song was just absolutely hysterical. It was really wild. It was a weird thing, but I'm very glad that I've seen it.
Oh, sorry. Just revisiting that in my head. Oh, so good.
I had no idea it was coming, because he starts doing the whole bit, and then I didn't really know where he was going with that, and then that he went to a white woman's Instagram, and that
Yeah.
was hysterical.
Honey, have you watched that yet?
I started watching it a little bit,
Oh,
and
man.
it was just a little too weird for me. I will.
we can do
I
it
will try
together.
again.
We'll power through it.
Yeah, it's not that long too. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It kind of feels a little longer just because of how uncomfortable it can sometimes get.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's super like insightful too. Like there's a song in the beginning about him, like, you know, the song about like comedy, and he's like, there's only one thing that I, as a white man in this, you know, world of all these troubles that white men have caused, can do to you know, make the world a better place while getting paid and being the center of attention. And that's make comedy.
Perfect.
So, you know, he does a good job of like acknowledging his like place in the grand scheme of things and the ridiculousness of trying to make a comedy special when all this shit is going on.
That's that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I think that's it in terms of things that I watched on my own or with Kris that aren't Marvel. Or
And
Ted
now we
Lasso.
talk about Marvel.
Kris,
go. Sorry.
Yeah, I do have a couple of things that are worth mentioning. One thing that was brought up in our Discord, I finally got a chance to watch the first episode of Jellystone, and only the first episode of Jellystone because it is the only episode of Jellystone that my kids will watch. They will watch it several times, but hey, do you want to check out the next episode? I want to watch the first one again. Okay.
So they're not
I don't
looking
know
to see
why
where the
kids
story
do
goes.
this.
What's that?
They're not looking to see where the story goes.
Heathens.
I just want to see more because it's. Did you guys watch Jellystone?
We watched.
We
the
tried.
first 3 minutes of it.
Yep.
Where he walks into the what is it? The nursing home or something?
The hospital.
Death by music or something. It was. I was like, I don't. This is.
Yeah, I'm not
why
gonna lie, Kris.
Create something new.
Yeah,
Why take all of
it's-
my characters and do this to them? But okay.
We got
you
as far
should've
as we're
stuck
gonna
with it
get.
for more than a couple of minutes. It
No.
takes a minute to get used to, but it does it. I didn't love it. I'm not like over the moon. This is the greatest thing ever, but it eventually gets some pretty clever stuff in there. Not all the comedy hit with me for sure. I think it's a pretty interesting reimagining of these characters because, you know, they're pretty dusty as far as cartoon
Watching
characters
that
go.
intro, like seeing some of the characters show up because they were like doing like a parade of sorts. Like I was interested, like that caught my interest. But what bothers me the most is that they're trying to do the original voices, but they're just left of center. They're just off, just a little bit. Because
I don't think they're ever going to get 100%. I think they got pretty. I think Boo Boo's better than Yogi for sure. I think Boo Boo sounds pretty spot on. I think Yogi's like, you're right, he's almost there,
Yes.
but they kind of changed his character a little bit.
Yep. Yeah.
There was the one where they. Did you get to the point with the nuclear stomach?
Nope. No, we made
So
it to Boo Boo. That's it. First appearance of
He's
Boo Boo.
hungry all the time, and he goes to choose lunch at the counter, and he can't make up his mind, and he starts freaking out. So they calm him down, like, Yogi, settle down, just think about it. We'll come back to it tomorrow. And then I think the doctor lady knocks him out with a hammer because it's a cartoon.
Right.
And when he wakes up, he's like. He's presented with all of the choices that he was going to make, and he's like, don't make me choose. And like, no, you can eat all of them. We installed a nuclear stomach. And so, like, now he has this nuclear stomach, but what the doctor lady didn't figure was that now he has an infinite appetite. So he just goes around eating everything, and then he starts eating everyone, starting with Boo Boo, and then he's just... It's a pretty goofy cartoon.
All right.
I don't know how much you'll get out of it. I thought it was pretty funny. It was definitely funny enough to watch once, maybe twice. I'd love to see more takes on it because there is one of the episodes in there. Top Cat showed up for a few seconds, voiced by Tom Lennon, and that was wonderful. He was selling some ridiculous product, and then Yogi ate him. It's a.
I'll
is
give it
definitely
another shot.
a weird style, but I did appreciate it. I think I like it more than I liked the new Looney Tunes, because
Okay.
people have been telling me a lot about, like, oh, you got to check out the new Looney Tunes cartoons. They're just as good as those new Mickey Mouse cartoons, and I loved those new Mickey Mouse cartoons. I thought they were great, and the Looney Tunes ones they're good, but I guess because they're starting from a much more difficult place to emulate. Like, those original cartoons are still so freaking funny, and these new ones, like, well, you're almost there.
You're giving it that old college try.
Yeah, you're good. It's got some good gags in it. I mean, I think the Wile E. Coyote stuff works a little bit better than most of the other stuff because it's all sight gags, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I guess, a little bit easier to pull off, being truer to the source material.
Right.
But it's fine. I didn't really knock my socks off, but the Jellystone I thought was interesting enough that I do want to see more of it, as long as the kids would be interested in watching another episode someday.
I did not like Jellystone very much.
Thank you.
The humor was weird. It was like too weird. It was either too weird or too focused on like bathroom humor. Like, they went one too many times in on the same joke for me to like think it was funny. And I'm not a big poop humor person to begin with. And like, you guys all the time talk about animated stuff and art styles, and I'm always like, what the hell are you talking about? I thought it looked fine. The art style of this bothered me.
Oh, really?
I think it was because it kind of looked unfinished, like all the lines looked kind of rough and not clean.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I was like, this looks worse than the original. Like, you know, this whatever 30, 40-year-old cartoon
Right.
that was drawn back in the day. They drew it with a pen and all the lines were filled in, and like, this is like, I don't know, I don't like the way it looks.
You have digital technology and you still couldn't make it look finished. Come on.
Yes,
Well, it was a choice that they
bothered,
made.
and I'm glad to hear people who are artists and understand things way more than I do agree with me on that. I just didn't like the way it looked.
I'm going to be honest,
like
Karen.
the art
Everything you're
style.
saying is 100% how I felt about it. And it's funny you mentioned the unfinished like look of it, because that was the first thing that put me off. I was like half ignoring the story because I was so bothered. Like, there's a part where one of the characters, as they're talking, they kind of like bend their legs. I think it was Boo Boo. And he like kind of bends his legs, and there's like the outline, like when he bends his leg, the animation, the outline's incomplete. And then when he straightens his leg, it is complete. And it was just like, you're using round lines. I can see the type of lines that you're using to outline this character. And I was like, I don't want to see that. I don't like this style choice. You fucked up. Like, I got really mad at it. And I didn't like the humor at all either. Sorry, Kris.
Yeah, like there
usually
was
like
one
butt
time
jokes and I'm
where,
not.
you know, they called a press conference after Yogi started eating everything. And the lady doctor bear was like, the important thing to remember here is that not to assign blame, and also I wasn't there because I was taking a poop. A big poop. And I'm like, that's not, like, I don't know what is off about that. Maybe it's the delivery, maybe it's the writing, but like, it just wasn't funny.
Yeah, no, I agree. The toilet humor, they definitely missed the mark on a lot of the jokes. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not as bad as it could have been. Like, this isn't Thundercats
Stunning.
Go. This isn't a complete bastardization of those super dusty old characters. And I was kind of like, the art style didn't bother me. It definitely has a weird look to it, and I can definitely see how it's an acquired taste. It didn't bother me. I thought it looked neat. And as somebody who, I loved those characters growing up, but I mean, those cartoons are, I don't know how else to describe them other than they're dusty. Like, they're just dusty as hell. And I think this is at least an interesting attempt at revitalizing them. I don't know how well it's going to stick, but I know the kids liked the first episode quite a bit, and I was fine with it. So, you know, I guess it's just me.
No, I'll give it a
It's
shot.
not for everybody,
I'll
you know?
I'll be honest.
It's definitely
I didn't give it enough
it's
a shot.
somebody did this, right? This was somebody from an established something else. I remember seeing somebody posting this, and then somebody responded like, "Oh, I'm glad this guy's got a new show. It looks great because I loved that previous show that this guy did." So like, this is definitely applying an established style from some other cartoon that I've never heard of to this. So.
Well, they
But
can
anyway,
establish
that's my
themselves
take on
right out the
Jellystone.
door.
Damn.
What was that?
I said they can establish themselves right out the door.
They can establish themselves right into my heart.
Ugh.
You
Gag
owe each other
noises.
Cokes now.
Soundtrack of our lives.
Almost barfing the soundtracks of your lives.
There we go.
We've been continuing our New Girl trek, and I'm enjoying these episodes that I have never seen before, so that's been
Nice.
fun.
Where
What
are you at?
season?
Coach is gone.
I think we're in early in season 5, so Schmidt and Cece are engaged.
Zoe Deschanel
Yay.
is pregnant and not on the show, and what's
Well,
her face
she
from
is on the
Transformers just
show.
showed up.
She is sequestered.
Yes.
Jury duty.
Yes, she's sequestered. That was totally her in the window in that episode. Most definitely. They had her pregnant ass on set to show up as a silhouette in the window. No question. No, it's been good. I've been still very much enjoying it. The show is very consistent and quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Glad
that's
you
all I
like
have to
it.
say
Credit for
about
that unique get her off the show storyline though. Like that was a good play. To still keep her there,
Yeah.
but not be there.
That worked for me. Good show. And of course, I finished the Bad Batch. I caught
Finished?
the finale,
Okay.
and the finale was pretty interesting. It was more interesting than most of the rest of what I saw of that series. Boy, a lot of the Star Wars fans that I follow really like this show.
Really?
I mean, just like every episode would drop and they'd be like, another phenomenal episode of I love this show. It's so great. And like, I'm thinking to myself, are we watching something different? Like, I'm not sure what it is that you're liking about this here. Like, it's not bad. It's not actively offensive or anything, but there's just a lot of times that I find myself sitting there watching the show being like, all right, get on with it. You gonna do something interesting now? I don't care about any of this.
So you would say it's more of a mediocre batch?
Yeah, it's not quite a bad batch, but it's a middling batch at best. But it did do some pretty interesting stuff in the finale, including rip off I don't know if it's necessarily a rip off. I'm sure something else did it at some point, but they pulled a move from Transformers Beast Machines. I called it they pulled a Tankor. So all 5 of you who know Transformers Beast Wars and Beast Machines, that one's for you. So like the whole plot in the beginning, when it was super interesting in the first episode, was like they took one of them away from them because they all these clones went through Order 66, but because they're like effed up clones, their chips didn't really function right. But then one of them started going off, and that guy wound up going with the newly forming Empire, and all that stuff's been interesting throughout the season, is the formation of the Empire. It's just there hasn't been a whole lot of it. So this one guy, I don't know, he's the sniper one. God, I can't even remember these guys' names. Isn't that a shame? Anyway, the sniper guy, he's been like the bad guy this whole season, and they showed the Kaminoans messing with his chip to be like, can we make him even more obedient? Can we make him like super pro-Empire and whatnot? Like, yeah. And so he's been like really chasing after these guys, trying to hunt them all down because they were defective and they didn't comply with Order 66, so they're traitors to the Empire, etc., etc. And so they finally caught up with the guy, and they like were trying to capture him so they could remove his chip, and he was just like, you don't understand, I removed my chip a long time ago, this is who I am. And like, it was kind of effective, but as soon as I saw it, like, Beast Wars did it better. They had the nicest guy throughout the entire Beast Wars show. This guy named Rhinox. He was the nicest Transformer out of all of them. Ran through the entire series of the show. Then they did a sequel series where it was like in the future, and this guy was totally missing. But there was this other villain named Tankor, and he was like super evil. And they eventually like did this thing to like kind of figure out who they were before they became those guys. And Tankor was Rhinox, but Rhinox was like, nah. Turns out I was wrong the whole time. I'm gonna kill all of you. And it was so super effective. And this was kind of like that, but like, all right, yeah, that's kind of interesting. But like, he didn't go like full evil. What he wound up wanting was he wanted to capture all the rest of his crew and show them like, look, the Empire is where we belong. Things will be better for you here. And then these guys are all like, yo, we've been like bounty hunters for a whole season, and basically the Empire is every flavor of evil, and they're gonna kill you. To which he didn't believe him. So then the Empire basically like betrayed everyone in Kamino. Kamino was the place where they made the clones. If you remember from the Star Wars Attack of the Clones movie, that was with the people with the really long necks and the creepy space heads and whatnot. They made all the clones. Well, they were like, the Empire's basically done with clones because they're moving on to stormtroopers, and they've been kind of like yanking these guys' chains for a while. And then they eventually decided, all right, we're just blowing this place up, clones and all. We're blowing up all of Kamino. So they just opened fire on this place with Sniper Guy down there, and he's still loyal to the Empire even after all that. He's like, look, nah, they didn't know I was down here. I'm sure of it. It's fine. I'm going to go back, and they're like super happy to see me. It's going to be great. But he helped save like the little girl Omega that's been with them the whole time. She went down to like save a droid, and then she was going to drown, and he saved her, and that was something. So he's clearly not evil. He's a fairly interesting character, but it got renewed for a second season, so I'll watch more of it. It was fine.
Was it fine, Kris?
It was fine. Coming off of Mandalorian and Rebels,
that's not
like
fair.
I don't think I had incredibly high hopes for it because I'm not like super into the clones as is. And they did a lot of stuff that kind of like pulled into fleshing out backstories that we didn't need fleshing out. Like this great character in Star Wars Rebels is her name's Hera, and then we get to see her as a kid in a couple episodes. And I was like, all right, I guess that's neat, but I didn't need any of this. This didn't move anyone's story forward in any meaningful way. And I think that's kind of what really kind of irked me about the Bad Batch was that it didn't feel like it moved things forward. Now, apparently they set up some stuff for doing an interpretation of the Thrawn Trilogy, which is an old series of Star Wars expanded universe novels that people love, but have been wiped from canon. They brought Admiral Thrawn into Star Wars Rebels, and if you remember in Mandalorian, Thrawn is who Ahsoka's looking for. She asked, where's Grand Admiral Thrawn in that one episode. So the running theory is that they're doing a sort of like MCU type thing with Star Wars right now, with Thrawn being the Thanos role, which is a pretty interesting thought. And they seem to have shown up at a planet that fits the description of the planet where most of the Thrawn trilogy took place in the novels at the end of Bad Batch. So it definitely seemed to be setting up some pretty interesting stuff. So even though overall I thought this whole season was pretty middling, and like seriously, I saw on Star Wars Explained, I think it was the channel that I follow on YouTube, it said best first season of any Star Wars show ever, and I'm looking at it like, are you out of your mind? What am I missing here? It just seemed so bland. There was so many episodes with this like lady asking them to go on like pointless missions and stuff. It's just, I'm sure it's all building to something. So I'm interested. It definitely has my interest peaked. Not as much as what we're going to talk about a little bit later, but yeah, let's talk about What If, shall we?
Yes, please.
How much did you watch? How many episodes are there?
There's only one.
There's only the
Just
one?
one.
There's only one.
Just
Oh, thank
the
God,
one.
I'm not that behind. I actually watched this. Yay! Okay, go.
Okay.
Evan, you seem to be the one itching the most to talk about it, so have at it, sir. Jump
All right,
in.
So,
Scratch the itch, babe.
So I have always been
Scratch
a
the
huge
itch,
fan.
bitch.
I've always been a huge fan
Language.
of what if storylines in the comic book world. Like
But
I
what
always
if
thought it
you
was great
weren't?
to take an established character or an event and just spin it a little bit to give me that same thing just from a different perspective. And this show completely delivered on that. This episode was, Captain Carter. What if, Carter got the serum instead of Steve? And it was visually perfect. Like, I love the animation style for this show.
Hated it.
Really? You didn't like it?
Oh, the visuals. I hate the visuals.
Really?
Wow.
You want to talk about an art style that makes me upset? I found this show very visually upsetting.
I like this. It's like
I
cell
find
shading.
you visually upsetting. God. I'm so sad. Sorry,
Ouch.
just kidding.
I'm taking all the Jellystone criticism in stride, and I don't like this one, and I get attacked. No, I don't like this animation. It to me that looked super cheap. I understand what you're saying about cell shading.
Mm-hmm.
There was just something I didn't like about this specific flavor of animation. It was so devoid of personality, and I think it did such a huge disservice to all the rest of the stuff that I loved about this episode.
Oh, okay.
Like gasp.
Okay, so
Bring it. You want to come at me about that? Have at it. I have my opinion, damn it, and I'm entitled to it.
you absolutely are, even if it's wrong.
It's not.
Haley did a phenomenal job yet again as Agent Carter, and like getting all of the original voice actors in. Like,
Most.
Yeah,
one?
I was going to say it wasn't everybody.
well,
Yeah, I mean, there was a very important one missing, sir.
which one?
Steve
one-
motherfucking
Christopher
Rogers.
Yeah, it
Robert
was-
Evans.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was referencing like all of the bit characters because it's Chris Evans, and yeah, they're not going to bring Chris Evans in.
What do you mean? Yeah, they're
What
not.
do you mean
Why?
they're not going to bring Chris? That they got friggin' Black Panther to reprise his role.
Did they? I thought they were lacing audio for him.
No, that's his last performance.
See, like I honest to God thought that they were lacing audio for him from other things. So, and yeah, okay, Chris should have been there.
Damn right he should have been.
I mean, but they had okay. I just thought they did a phenomenal job with it. The story in itself was great. They did right by Agent Carter. They did it was told well. And I just can't get over the fact that you didn't like the art style. Like, I love that cell shading work. And
He's never been a big fan of that. Anytime they do that for like they've done that kind of art for like Doctor Who with of lost episodes where they still have the audio, and then they do that kind of animation for the visual. And he's just like, I this is so interesting, but it's hard for me to look at. And it's never bothered me. I'm with you, Evan. I love this.
like Telltale Games, like that's cell shading right there, and that's beautifully done. Do you not like that?
Okay, you're blanket brushing cell shading like to way too much of a degree. Cell shading is how it's colored. I don't like how it's drawn.
Okay.
Like the cell shading's wonderful. Cell shading is applying 2D style coloring to make something 3D look flat in 2D, but be able to animate it within the 3D space. That was, just kicking off back in the Dreamcast days with stuff like Jet Set Radio. My favorite game of all time, Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, is cell shaded.
That's what was throwing me. So what about the art do you not like? What is throwing you? Because
I think it's the lack of it being stylized. I feel this way a lot when I'm also reading Star Wars comics, when they look like they're trying to just draw paintings of the actors. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I feel like it's. I want it to be more stylized, but it's really hard to articulate. There's something about this that looks cheap. Like, I'm looking at it like these are 3D models that they want to look 2D. They're not. You're not fooling me into thinking that it's 2D. Like, look at something like Dragon Prince. Now, Dragon Prince has that whole actual like frame rate animation problem, but the characters themselves don't always reek of this is a 3D model with cell shading applied. This always looked like 3D models with cell shading applied. To me, it looked cheap.
Okay.
And if you're going to do something this, like, clearly they couldn't do this in live action. So if you're going to do something this outlandish, doing this seemed like, well, we can't do this in live action, so we're just going to try to make it cartoony, but look really like live action. And they didn't quite go as far as like that Avengers game where it looks like all their stunt doubles or like the Z-list versions of Captain America and whatnot are reprising their roles. It wasn't that far. There was just something about it that bugged me, visually speaking.
Okay.
Like, I was like, the eyes and the mouths in particular just really irked me. But that is just about my only complaint about the show, because you're 100% right. This was glorious as far as like everything that happened in it. God, I saw somebody point out, and I couldn't agree more, like, Carter's body count was way higher than Steve's.
Way higher.
He was
She
way
went
better at the
in
job
to
right
kill.
out the gate. Like,
God, the action was so good. She kicked
Yes.
all of the ass.
Yes.
yeah,
It's my girl.
Now that was great. And the one of the complaints that I heard a couple of friends of mine make, and I do agree to an extent, is that it did feel kind of like I don't know if rushed is the right word. They were trying to fit 10 pounds of awesome in a 5-pound bag.
well, they took a 2-hour long movie and made it 40 minutes.
Exactly. They had to crunch it down, and I understand that as a complaint. It would have been cool to see them go all out, I guess, but at the same time, I understand the point of it is, unlike anything else in the MCU, this is very, very specifically for people who have seen the originals.
Yes.
There is no coming into this if you haven't seen Captain America. It's not going to make sense if you haven't seen the first Avenger. It's just not, because they're leaving out most of it. This is going in with the assumption that you know that movie well enough to recognize the differences and the similarities. And I think that's a pretty bold play, because most of the time they try to make these MCU movies connected in a way that makes you want to see the rest of them, but also solo enough that if you just want to see this one, you can just see this one, you'll be more or less okay.
Yeah, they have been consistent with this could be someone's first. Like, that was always a mantra with Marvel. You are absolutely 110% right. This is not someone's first. You cannot.
Yeah, this should not be.
I don't think there's a way, given the nature of it, there's not a way for it to be someone's first. It's an alternate take on existing history. Like, why would you watch this if you don't know the existing history? Like, you wouldn't.
Completely agree.
But
I that's why I think it's great that they went the route that they did with it, because if they tried to make this more newbie friendly, it would be half the show that it is. I like that they went all in on, jokes like, you almost ripped my arm off. They went all in with stuff like that, because that's exactly who this is aimed at. And whether or not this has any sort of effect on the overall MCU remains to be seen, especially since we got all that multiversal stuff going on with Loki. Who knows? But I think at the end of the day, if this is the thing that most people skip, which most people are going to, this is never going to hit Loki numbers because it's animated.
Right.
And just at the end of the day, this is the tie-in cartoon. Nowhere near enough people are going to watch this, and that's already bumming me out. But that said,
it truly is a shame. And it's the visualization of the character as, Captain Carter. I thought they did a fantastic job of that. Like, I had seen complaints in certain feeds and whatnot that they made her very masculine, and
they can jump up my butt.
Took the super soldier serum. What did they expect?
But she didn't look masculine. That's the thing. Like, she looked strong, but she was still absolute. I mean, listen, we all know I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Peggy Carter, but like, she was still very, very beautiful.
Well, that was one of the funniest things that I had read was, well, if you take her hair off and if you cut her hair off and you remove her makeup, she looks like a guy. I went, that's every female character. Like that's cartoons.
Gender is a construct.
Yeah, sure. She looks like a guy with hips and a
right?
ass.
Like,
they
what kind of guys are you dating? I'm just.
the proportions of the character were spot on because, you know, especially in reference to Steve's character, like it was cute that they gave him the Iron Man suit, but I liked seeing them interact with each other.
That was great.
When he was tiny. Like that just showed the difference because like Haley Atwell and you know Chris Evans proportionately are closer than Captain Carter and Steve Rogers in this cartoon. And it was adorable to see, like, she could pick him up in her hand if she wanted to. It
But
was
she
adorable.
really loves him.
And that was, you could see that emotion at times, or about the dance.
I loved that they still, you know, had them fall in love with each other, even though Steve didn't get all, you know,
yes.
gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, she felt for him before he became Captain America.
If you know anything about me, you know that I ship Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter more than like anything else in the fictional universe, and
Yeah.
I think these two are my favorite iteration of that couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
They're
go right
phenomenal.
out there and like they were just freaking adorable, and it may be because they, you know, they had more time together. Not that they had more, you know, chronological time together, but in the movie First Avenger, they were like kind of sniping at each other and like, will they, won't they, or whatever. There wasn't really much of that in this. It was just like, clearly these two like each other, and, you know, in this timeline, they've gotten over whatever insecurities they have that made them not talk to each other. And maybe they didn't, like, you know, connect romantically until later point in the story, but there was more of them like working together and being friendly with one another. And that was just so adorable. I loved it so much.
Oh yeah, I really just loved everything. I loved pretty much everything about this except for the visuals, and enough for me to be fine with the visuals. Like, I like everything else about it enough to be like, all right, you know, this is what it is. That's fine. I will gladly deal with the visuals that I don't like in service of watching the rest of whatever this is going to be, which is thus far been pretty fun. I really hope we get something incredibly stupid in here, though. Like, so far, all of them seem to be like the cool what if stories. I want something on the level of what if, you know, Aunt May was the Herald of Galactus. You know what I mean? I want at least one really stupid one.
Well, they are probably going to keep with the movie tie-ins in some way, shape, or form, and like it has to be at least loosely based to the MCU. I can't. Like, I think that they're swinging for the fences is, you know, Black Panther as, you know,
Star-Lord. That's going to be the next one.
I don't even know what the rest of them are. I know there's that one. There's
have they announced what the rest of them are? I'm looking on IMDb right now. I want to see what they have listed here. Yeah, they're just listed as episodes 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get 9 of these things. There's gonna be a Marvel Zombies one. We know that.
which I cannot wait to see what they do with that.
Okay, looks like we have what if Loki presented himself to the governments of Earth as king of Asgard using all his diplomacy. Oh, that's interesting.
That's a mouthful and a half.
What? And these are all just IMDb descriptions, and they're assigned to kind of random episodes. What if Thor was banished to Earth but was still worthy of his mantle? I don't know what that really means.
Iron Man and
What if the
Killmonger?
Thor movie's plot was useless? Because that's what that sounds like.
What if
Yeah.
Tony Stark was rescued by Killmonger?
That would be weird.
T'Challa is
Yeah.
Star-Lord. Ooh, a severed Ant-Man head. What?
Yay! There, now I'm in.
Wait, what?
What if Ant-Man had no head?
This episode also spawned a little pet theory of mine that, like, all of the original Avengers are going to be, like, shunted into a different Avengers role. Like, now Steve is Iron Man. That frees up Tony because he's a scientist. Instead of becoming Iron Man, he can somehow get turned into the Hulk. I would love that.
Actually, hold on. Clinton Barton, apparently.
Clint's gonna be Hulk.
So the way this article that I'm reading, it's like they had dissected the trailer for What If, and it's two shots of the trailer scene, Clint Barton Hulk mashup. So
well, for all the good dissecting trailers does those lying liars.
I would prefer Tony just because of the kind of like antagonistic friendship that him and Bruce have in the MCU anyway. I just think that would be cute if he ended up as Hulk.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I feel,
but we can what if all day.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's they can do literally whatever they want, and if they keep
I could
up
do
with the
this all
content,
day.
Yeah. The only complaint that I had was that they missed the opportunity of making Stan Lee. What's it? Uatu? Is that how it's pronounced? The Watcher. Like giving.
Uatu?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, didn't we already see? We already saw Stan Lee talking to Watchers, so we already know that Stan Lee isn't a Watcher. He's like one of their.
I mean, just making
report guys.
The visage of the Watcher Stanley-esque. Just.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be betraying the stuff that he already did. We've already established who Stan Lee is in this universe.
Have we?
Yeah, he was the guy talking to the Watchers.
Yeah, what? But as what? Like
as their informant.
As their informant. He was.
Okay.
He always has the same face. Like out
right.
there, he's the informant that because he couldn't be a Watcher because he actively interacts with the people on Earth, and Watchers can't do that.
Okay. I just think they did a great job, and I want to see Stan Lee again. We went into the comic shop the other day, and there was a Mego-sized Stan Lee doll on display that I was tempted to buy.
Aw.
So, I want more Stan Lee.
I'll allow it.
He's gone. Anywho. Well,
Wonderful show.
When does this come out? When is this?
So it's Wednesdays, right?
Is it Wednesdays?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn. Week to week.
Tomorrow,
I know,
we
right?
got a new one tomorrow.
Between this and Ted Lasso, I'm over the week to week releases.
Karen's
I want it
fuck that
now.
up.
When does Ted Lasso release?
Fridays.
Okay.
That's why I'm always on your ass on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, I
you
know.
gonna have it for tonight? Because I need it. I need it right now.
All right, thumbs up for What If.
Yeah. Big fat thumbs up. Big fat hairy thumbs up from all of us. I love the show, and I cannot wait to see more of it. And it's time for us to take ourselves a break. When we come back, we've got a whole bunch of news to talk about. You're listening to this week's episode from Geekade.com. Stick around. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com.
First up, Batman is a superhero of many colors. There's the classic gray and blue, the solid black of the Tim Burton movies, the black and gray from the animated series, the best series, and of course, the solid purple of the classic NES game. I did not know there was purple. Okay, anyway. On an all new.
Purple.
Yeah, this is insane to me. I'm learning so many things from doing commercials. On an all new weekend rental podcast, the guys discuss the pinnacle of bat video gaming with the Sunsoft Classic Batman, the video game, for the Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as NES. I know things. But that's not all. There's also a discussion about the inevitable downsizing of one's video game collection and the wonderment that was Woodstock 99. Do you know what that means? Do I know what that means? Is wonderment the right word? Either way, make sure you check out Weekend Rental episode 105, The Gamers Enter Bat Country.
So they made Batman purple and they made Jason purple, didn't they?
Yep, I was...
Was there no black pixels or something?
Well, the backgrounds usually had to be black, so they had to make him something.
Ah.
Gray?
Batman for NES is an awesome game, and he's got the black suit from the movie in all the cutscenes and stuff, just during the game, he's
Just the main
purple.
portion of the visuals of him. He's not. Got it.
Yeah, because most of it takes place at night, so you make a black suited character on a black background, it's not going to read very well. So,
True.
Yay.
All right, next, as you may know, Kris writes for Nintendo Force magazine. As you may also know, he is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fanatic. So when his boss told him that their next issue is going to be TMNT focused, he volunteered to write all manners of stuff. What he couldn't have predicted is that he'd be teaming up with Jonathan Holmes to interview Kevin Eastman. Why? Which is totally a thing that happened. He also wrote about a couple of vintage TMNT games, including the grossly underplayed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 for Game Boy, and he reviewed Ninja Gaiden Master Collection, Ninja Gaiden Master Collection, and Blaster Master Zero 3?
yeah,
Too
that's
many
right.
numbers in that title. So if it sounds cool to you,
Who needs to things to make sense?
or if
You ever
just,
played Final Fantasy VII and think, wait, what? Wasn't the first one the last one? It was the final. Never mind.
but they're not even in order. So if you want, okay. So if that sounds cool to you, or if you just want a rad TMNT poster to hang on your living room, head over to NintendoForceMagazine.com/shop and get in on all the action. You won't regret it. I'm not reading the HTTPS:/.
You just did.
Fooled you.
I'm just going to read mine straight because I don't have the energy for you people. Finally, Geekade's narrative sci-fi podcast is back with an all-new episode. It's called Radio Free Rhea, in case you were wondering what show I'm talking about. Anyway, Hallie is unhappy with some station changes, but Ren is unhappy with his life as a whole. Also, how are those Martian spiders doing? Find out in Radio Free Rhea Chapter 3. Shut it down, Mr. McLeod.
I really need to
Chief
listen to that.
McLeod. For all this great content and more from us and our partners, be sure to keep your eyes on geekade.com.
I got that reference.
All right, we're back, and we have a whole buttload of news to talk about. Exactly as much news as you can fit in a butt. So let's start off with...
How do you know how much news you can fit in a butt?
I guess it really depends on the butt.
Butt news.
Speaking of news, this comes to us from Tor.com. Neil Gaiman's Anansi Boyz is headed to Amazon Prime. Who can tell me what this is?
This is yet another adaptation of a Neil Gaiman novel that he is executive producing in conjunction with Amazon. This is a pretty popular one of his novels, not as big as American Gods, well, I don't know. Good Omens was never that big until the TV show hit.
Yeah.
It was a cult favorite, but anyway, it's an awesome story. I'm glad to see it.
Isn't it the same universe as American Gods, but it's not a sequel, it's just like relevant?
Yeah, Gaiman had the idea for Anansi Boyz first and then borrowed Mr. Nancy and put him in American Gods.
Okay.
So yes, it is technically same universe. They're not really connected, aside from that one character, which I didn't watch all of American Gods, but I thought that Orlando Jones as Mr. Nancy in American Gods was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What I saw of it. And then, that poor show just kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
But that's not that, American Gods is not this. And I do wonder how American Gods might have gone differently if Neil Gaiman had gotten into making TV a little earlier and had more of a hand in that show. But anyway, this should be good. I'm all in for this, despite the fact that it's, to do with... mythology surrounding a spider character. I'm just going to have to get over that one. Which I will do for Neil Gaiman and Neil Gaiman only.
Just that's it.
Well, as long as we know you're motivated.
He deserves it.
He's my favorite for a reason.
Is he actually your favorite?
Yeah, he's my favorite author.
Ah, did not know.
Well, hashtag the more you know. shooting
learning.
star gif going over the whatever.
I knew that one.
Good job.
I would
Chris.
hope
Honey.
so.
It only took, what, 17 years? Is that what you said?
How long have you guys been together again?
17 years today.
Congratulations.
And we're celebrating by doing a podcast together.
There it is. True love.
It's love right
Well,
there.
you know, to be fair, it's our dating anniversary. Not,
Well-
you know, we properly do the wedding
Yes,
anniversary.
we properly celebrated our wedding anniversary last month.
Listen, there is no better way to celebrate your dating anniversary than with friends who,
Recording a television podcast.
yeah,
Wait a minute.
who are incredibly interesting and totally awesome people to hang out with on double dates.
I don't know who you're talking about anymore. I'm confused.
Anywho's, our next story was posted from Facebook. Something called "Only Murders in the Building."
So this is a trailer for a Hulu show that features Martin Short and Steve Martin as a couple of guys who live in a building where a murder takes place, and it looked fantastic to me because I love when those two guys interact with each other on any form of screen whatsoever because I find them hysterical. But it's like it seems to have a lot of like Clue feelings to it. You know the movie Clue.
Yeah,
Got some
it has
vibes.
like
Yeah.
big like comedic murder mystery energy.
Yes. So I am looking forward to checking this out. So it looks like a lot of fun.
Couple of Martins making some
Yeah.
stuff.
I watched the trailer for this and I had no idea what the hell it was, and I was like, oh,
Right.
well, thank you for bringing this to my attention.
Anytime I see the Martins together, I was like, this is something I'm going to enjoy. So
And it comes out at the end of this month.
there
That's
it is.
Yes. So someone please get me some Hulu access and or other nefarious things.
We got you.
Thanks.
King.
It's nice to be gotten.
Yes, it is.
Who?
Lou.
What?
Ha. Speaking of who's.
Speaking of who's,
Oh God.
this
What a
one
segue.
comes to us by way of DoctorWho.tv. Yes, the official Doctor Who site. Jodie Whittaker and Kris Chibnall to leave Doctor Who in a trio of specials in 2022. And with those words, you hear neckbeards across the internet celebrating in joy.
And me punching all of those people because shut up. I mean, it's inevitable that, people who don't like Jodie as Doctor Who are going to be like, well, she couldn't hack it, blah, blah, blah. She finally got fired. Bitch got the axe. She sucks, and she's paying for it. Go, shut up. I hate you so much.
Get
this
a penis
is like,
back in that role.
this is standard Doctor Who tenure. She did 3 seasons. She did a great job. She's moving on. No one can blame her for that. I'm always happy to see fresh blood come in. I
Any
did
word
not.
on who? Possibly.
No, they're they're always super cheeky and coy about it, but they'll do a reveal. I would bet, since the season has been announced to be coming out before the end of this year, I would say probably there's going to be some big reveal around the end of the season.
How
as
is
to
this
who it's gonna
happening with
be.
the Doctor's reincarnation shenanigans?
What do you
What do
mean?
you mean? That he's supposed to be out of lives?
Yeah.
No.
They explained it away in a Christmas special a couple of years ago where he just got kind of carte blanche on regenerations because
the
he
sky
saved
opened up.
the Time
The
Lords.
Time Lords barfed a whole new set of lives at him.
Yeah.
All right, so what actually happened is he took his screwdriver and did up, down, down, left, right, BA, select start so that he can get a 2-player game going with
A
infinite
2-player,
lives.
30 lives.
Yeah, he said,
Look at me, I
The
did a
screw-
video game reference. Woohoo!
the screwdriver doesn't work on wood, but they never said anything about video games.
Evan can video game.
And
damn
so
proud of
now that this has been announced, it's time for me to get back up on my soapbox about make the 14th Doctor Richard Ayoade. Do it now.
Okay.
Why?
Because he's amazing. He'd be fantastic. I would love to see it.
Okay. That's
Just
fair.
does.
And we've broken the gender barrier in the Doctor. Can we now break the race barrier?
Well, is he on the show or into the show? Like, is there a reference to him at any point being involved with Doctor Who? I don't know because I'm so
No.
behind. No. Okay.
No, he's a nerdy guy. He's an awesome actor. I think he'd be fantastic in that part.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely agree. I was just curious about it because it was one of those things where I just like didn't know if there was any connection, and I would.
No, and they
love
do.
that.
They have done that before. Like Peter Capaldi was in the show before he was on it. Karen Gillan was in the show before she was on it. There've been a lot of those. But everybody in England is eventually on Doctor Who, so he's going to be on there somehow.
At
But
some
I would
point in
like
time.
to see him in the title role.
I could definitely see him being a good Well, I've really only seen him as Moss, but
And that's the problem, like, because that's his character all the time, is Moss. Like, the cadence, the way he presents, it's always in some way, shape, or form Mossian. And I don't feel that will be able to, like, if he separates himself from that to do a new version for Doctor Who, I don't think people will be okay with that because that's not the guy I know. And then if he does that character as Doctor Who, they'll be like, that's not my Doctor Who. That's the guy that's in the basement trying to fix my computer.
it's Dr. Moss. Thank you.
So
I feel pretty confident that the people at the BBC know that no matter what they do, people are going to complain.
It's like
That's very
choosing
true.
a host for the Oscars. It's a job it's a terrible job because someone's going to hate it. Lots of people are going to hate it no matter what you do. But
or like choosing a host of Jeopardy.
The Oscars. Hosts we
let's
hate.
Let's get a news story in for that one. I mean,
I found one.
Let's
that
just
was,
talk about that real quick. Before I jump over to that particular ship, one criticism this whole Jodie Whittaker leaving thing that I saw surprisingly more of than I expected is something that I also kind of agreed with, is that a lot of people were a lot more people than expected were saying that they were hoping Jodie would stick around for at least one more season so that she could get a different writer. Because I agree that I haven't loved a lot of the writing on Chibnall's run. Like, I think Jodie's phenomenal. Chibnall did some really great stuff, but I think he kind of did some really shit stuff too. Like, I didn't love a lot of the writing on the show. I didn't like a lot of the directions that they went. So, I think it would have been great to see Jodie with a different writer, but it is what it is. I'll take what happens. And thank you, Evan, for
so we can get the actual
throwing
names.
this up. Jeopardy.com. I don't have a huge horse in this race, but I was. They just did this whole thing on Jeopardy of like they had a bunch of guest hosts and be like, oh, who's going to be the next real host of Jeopardy? There's a bunch of other people, and like a bunch of people showed up and did the show, and everyone seemed to really like what's his name from Reading Rainbow and Star Trek: The Next Generation, LeVar Burton.
LeVar Burton, yeah.
Right? And then, who gets the job? Some random milk white dude who's an executive producer on Jeopardy who has no business doing the job.
Well, their reasoning behind that was he is the closest to Trebek.
Bullshit. The reasoning behind it is he's an executive producer
Yeah.
and he wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's it. I don't understand why they're doing two hosts. That's unnecessary.
I feel like it's like one of those. It's like kind of the least they could do to throw a bone to people, kind of a thing. Like, because nobody wanted this guy. No fan of Jeopardy looked at this show and said, "Yeah, that's the guy I want. I want the executive producer to be the new host because he wants it." No, nobody wanted that. But a lot of people liked Mayim Bialik, so I think this is like, let's throw him a bone. On special things, we'll let her host. She can kind of be there when we need her. But really, we're just going to give it to this guy because he wants it and he's an executive producer, and it's bullshit.
It should have been LeVar.
I agree.
But It is what
Karen,
it is.
do you have any thoughts on that one as our resident Jeopardy expert?
I mean, obviously, I don't love it. Obviously, I don't think an executive producer should take the job over an on-air personality. I don't think the show's doing itself any favors by using this person, but I could be proven wrong in terms of his talent for hosting the show. Maybe we're all going to be surprised by how good he is. I also think that the choice of Mayim Bialik as a, secondary host is, as other people have pointed out, problematic, because she wrote when the whole Weinstein thing was happening, she wrote an op-ed in the New York Times, kind of like victim blaming. So not great. Not the greatest person they could have chosen. Doesn't mean she's like a trash human or anything, but
Well, a lot of people were excited about her, and I hate saying this, but it's true that a lot of people were excited about her because she was on Big Bang Theory. Therefore, she must be really smart and nerdy.
Well, she is actually really smart. Like, she's stupid smart. She's like she has a doctorate in something or other, like neuroscience.
Yeah, she's really smart, and she has some shit opinions on things.
So, I don't love this, is my commentary on it.
Is what it is. Anyway, moving on, back to Tor.com. Marvel's Hawkeye gets a date. It's coming home for Thanksgiving.
There it is.
Yay. Oh, I'm very excited about this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking for it. It's another Marvel joint, so they'll finish.
Is this the one that's based on the comic we just read? Like, or is this based around?
It's based around that theory. Well, no.
Because it says Matt Fraction and David Aja.
Right. It seems like they're transitioning the Hawkeye character from the male version of Hawkeye to the female version of Hawkeye for the MCU, and that happens to be that in that area of that trade that we just read. We're part of a graphic novel book club that we just read a Hawkeye story.
But that trade that we read, like, if this is the run that I'm seeing, which I believe it is, it's a great, like, if they take the pacing, if they take the inspiration from that comic, this is going to be a fucking stellar show, because that comic was great.
Where they are drawing inspiration from, which is, and I've also heard almost nothing but good things about that particular series, so
yeah,
I'm pretty jazzed about it. And this is where we're going to get our next iteration of Hawkeye. I just kind of wonder which side is this which side is she going to land on? Is she going to be with a Seinfeld lady, or is she going to be from with the good guys? Who knows?
So,
yeah,
I also am excited to see more Yelena Belova.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's awesome about that trade, that story run, is there is a whole issue, like, right in the middle of that story of about his
Pizza dog.
Pizza dog first, but all the different arrows in his quiver.
Oh yeah.
And the way they visually did it, like, there's so much action, and then like an inset panel of the punching bag, or the punching glove arrow, or the boomerang arrow. I want to see that done in live action. I want to see him
Kind of like when they pause a Looney Tunes Roadrunner cartoon, and they're like, give the description of their species and
Yes.
facts about them.
Yes.
Yes.
I really, yeah. And the way that they pace, like, it's the reason why I'm saying if they pull inspiration from this, it felt a little, what we were saying, it was like Guy Ritchie-ian.
Yes.
Like, the way that it was written and the way that it was executed, this is the comic itself was a really good setup for this show to just take directly from that. Like, even the way each issue would open, it was, okay, this looks bad, right? Yeah. And, like, if they do that, there's so much room for awesomeness that, like, I'm trying not to get excited because I'm always disappointed.
Pretty much, he has nothing to do with any of the other Avengers. Pretty much,
it's him, like, being a normal dude.
Like, he's in hiding almost. So that, I mean, that's prime storytelling for the two Hawkeyes. I think it's a great pull. Hopefully, we'll see if that's what they actually are doing.
Yeah. So
Well,
sorry.
I'm looking forward to it.
I also wonder, and this question comes from me being like a complete comics. I know nothing about comics, but like how this seems kind of a down to earth, training the next generation, very like kind of small story. And I wonder how that's going to fit into this like direction that the MCU seems to be going right now with like crazy multiverse shit is happening. But I guess that's Hawkeye's always thing is like, we're in a city in the sky fighting an army of robots and I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
Right.
Yes. Exactly.
All right, we'll come back to that one in a little bit. Let's move on to this next one. This comes to us from GamesRadar.com. Midnight Mass, a new series from Haunting of Bly Manor creator Mike Flanagan, gets its first teaser. Angie, tell us about this.
Okay, so the teaser's really short, but really all you need to know about this news article is that this is happening. I will say that I did not love the Bly Manor series, so I'm really hoping that this will do some better stuff.
You didn't like that one?
No, I didn't like it as much.
That was all of the characters.
They're doing it similar to
Well,
American Horror Story, where
it.
it's like the anthology thing. Like it's different stories, but same cast, but not the entirety of the cast. So for this one, there is also some cast returning. But the thing that actually excited me most about this article as of like a week ago is that he is also planning to adapt the comic There's Something Killing the Children, which is absolutely freaking phenomenal. I ended up reading about the comic and then listening to someone tell me about it and then flipping through the art and then like getting completely immersed randomly throughout different points of different issues because it was so well done. This seems to be like one of those titles where it's sort of just coming up out of nowhere. Like people have probably seen it on the shelves at their comic shops and like haven't really known what that is, or like maybe they've just ignored it or whatever. But like it's really, really good. It's really good, and the main character is super badass. It's a Boom Studios comic, so it's not like Marvel or DC, so I'm curious to kind of see like how something along these lines would be adapted. And I do like Mike Flanagan's work, so I'm really hoping that both of these new series will be good. And I hope that Midnight Mass is not just a ripoff of Shutter Island, because then I'll be angry. But yeah, so that's it. We don't have a whole lot about what's going on with this other than it wrapped production in December of 2020, and I don't know when it's like coming.
Yeah.
It says and Haunting of Blah 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 has its first teaser. The 7-episode series was first revealed in 2019 and wrapped production to December 2020. Yeah, so yeah, that's it.
Yeah, in post-production finishing up, tying up loose ends, so
Yeah.
we'll get it.
And then there was some stuff about like I don't know. I don't want to say anything else. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for more. And horror fans, be ready. I hope you guys are into this, and I want to know what other people think about Mike Flanagan's stuff and if they've liked the other two shows, because I thought Haunting of Hill House is literally one of the best things I've ever seen in horror television or the horror genre.
It's a good show.
Yeah. So, no more scary stuff for you guys. Let's talk about Star Wars or something. What makes you happy?
Okay. This next one, this just dropped, I think, earlier today. This was a trailer for Star Wars Visions, which was announced a little while back. And
We're actually talking about Star Wars. Sorry, that was not... Okay.
You didn't look at that.
Go me. Yeah, no,
thought you
that
were
was
just reading
intentional.
ahead.
Segues.
so they announced this show a while back when they just word barfed all those Star Wars shows. Like, we got a ton of Star Wars shows. And at first I was like, I don't know, are you going to dilute this too much? And then I realized how different these shows were, and I thought, okay, no, this is neat, because this is just such wildly different things from one another. And goodness gracious me, I am so into this.
How many squeeze came out of your face as you were watching this trailer? Like tee-hees and giggles.
I don't even know. Angie, did you watch this trailer yet?
Yes, I'm actually going back through it just because I loved looking at it so much, and
so many different art styles.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
There's
This is actually gonna be a Star Wars thing that I'm going to purposefully watch.
Yes, but there was a point. Hold on, did I miss it? I might have gone too far. Like when they're talking about the 7 studios, I think it was, right? 7 studios.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 7 studios, and then like right before they had done that, it looked like there was like a Miyazaki-esque scene. Yeah, like 2 kids running down some stairs, then somebody flying on an umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah,
7 Visionary Anime Studios. So in case you don't know what this is, they basically had 7 anime studios create Star Wars stories. I have no idea if any of this stuff is actually canon. I'm going to guess it's not, but then who the heck knows? It's Star Wars. It takes place in the infinite void of space. So, but boy, they did not hold back in the least. This is incredibly anime. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like it looks amazing. Like tons of different crazy looking creatures and
lightsabers,
all of it's gorgeous. There's a lightsaber umbrella looking thing that just a stick with like 15 lightsabers and started spinning around or something.
Yeah.
It's just insanity, and it looks so cool and so interesting. And
There's like a bucket head. There's definitely a person with like a bucket head.
Well,
and this is kind of what I'm talking about when I was complaining about how much I didn't like the art style in What If, and then I look at something like this and it just strikes me as so incredibly refreshing. But it again, art is totally subjective. So I'm not saying one is bad. I didn't like that one. I love this. Whereas, boy, you want to look at the comments section. People hating on this already because there's nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
That's the truth. You guys are horrible.
God, there's this bit. It's taking. I was assuming that this was going to be, here are some stories to tell, and then they would have these anime studios basically do that, but they are basically applying the rules of the Star Wars universe to anime. Like, they're showing this Sith-like character, this blonde lady, who takes a kyber crystal and shoves it into her chest and then is controlling like lightsaber whips, which is just so ridiculously anime, and I love it.
I'm sorry, the one, I'm just looking at a Star Wars site, and there's the scene where the guy he unsheaths the lightsaber.
He unsheaths the lightsaber. It's the coolest. It makes no sense, but it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm glad somebody else commented on that, because I've watched that part a couple times now, and I'm like, this makes no sense, but that's totally a samurai thing. Yeah. And
like,
I was
he's
just like,
holding it like a samurai, and he activates it as he pulls it off of his belt, but he pulls it forward like a samurai sword.
Yep.
So it looks like it's being unsheathed, but it's just extending as he's pulling it forward.
It's so dope. It's so dope. Like, this is awesome.
This could not possibly make me happier. I'm so enthralled by this.
And I'm very excited to see who the studios are. I haven't looked yet. Like, I will eventually look this up, and I want to see like which studios are making this, and then what other things they've made that I've watched, because I used to, when I was younger, watch a lot more anime, and like I talk about anime a lot with my kids when I'm teaching. So this is something that I think is going to be accessible to so many different audiences on such a different level, and I'm really looking forward to it, because this is like so perfect. I don't know. I just think Star Wars and anime is like a perfect combination, and I can't believe it never happened before, especially after watching the animated stuff and seeing how much I loved Clone Wars. Like, this just makes sense. So, hell yes. Give it to me now.
What else is super cool is like the trailer that this is the trailer for the English dub because there's also Japanese voices. Like,
Yeah.
this was all done in Japanese by these studios, and then they did an English dub. So, like, I don't know. I mean, the English dub sounds great. Like, it sounds high quality, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I'm kind of curious to watch it with subtitles because, you know.
That's how I will watch it.
So I just threw a link into our chat where it shows the studios and the actual titles of the episodes that the studio is doing. We can add that in. I don't recognize any of the studios, so.
Yeah, I don't recognize these names because I'm not great at that, but I want to look up. So these are the episodes that they're doing. So I'm just got to look up what these studios are all known for to find out why. But either way, this is gorgeous, and
great.
I want all of it now. I'm so excited about this show.
Would you say that this looks like a good way to get someone who is an anime fan and not a Star Wars fan into Star Wars?
Theoretically, I don't know how well it's going to translate into watching other Star Wars media. Like, this is so anime.
I am never interested in Star Wars stuff when I see it. Like, it's not my cup of tea, but when I saw this trailer, I was like, wow, this is something I'm going to watch, and I really don't think it's going to get me involved in the Star Wars universe. This is just a visually stunning thing that it's, you know, on its own.
I mean, it might. I mean, it depends on how much this really goes into the lore and what it does. Like, I really don't know what this is going to do. I don't know if or how it's going to tie into anything in canon. This could just be Star Wars What If for all we know. And either way, I'm fine with it. Either way, I'm 100% on board with this. I cannot wait to watch it. It looks so cool. I haven't watched an anime in such a long time, and this is really like, this is scratching a serious itch. And it's so much more visually exciting than Bad Batch. There was another thing I just didn't like about that show is it was back to that original Clone Wars just kind of ugly look, and you know, after 6 seasons of that show, I was pretty much done with that visual style, and this is such a breath of fresh air. I'm super excited.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. And just looking at, like, I've already started looking up some of the studios because I don't know all of them either. But I can, all I'm gonna say is I recognize names from these studios. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good.
Anyways, moving on, we got Screen Rant. Stephen King's Chapelwaite series teases creepy house in new video.
So this is a 10-episode miniseries based on Stephen King's short story Jerusalem's Lot. So Jerusalem's Lot is the town in which Salem's Lot, the vampire story, takes place. But every Stephen King novel takes place in a town somewhere in Maine. This is like, I think it's set in the 1800s.
Yes.
And Adrian Brody and his kid are in it's like a haunted house story, it seems. So I love Stephen King stories, and I think Adrian Brody is just one of the creepiest guys ever. So I'm excited to check this out. I love that I love how Stephen King's mythology is loosely tied together by location. So it's just something that super interested me. I'd like that's just like a short trailer or a teaser, if you will, and it's Adrian Brody literally listening to the walls of the house that they're staying in, and there's noises coming from the walls, and he tells his daughter or the kid that he thinks that there are rats in the house, and I know there's not rats in the wall. I know there's not. So,
but one of the things that looked really good about this is this whole scene is 1 minute. Like, the whole trailer is just this 1 minute, and it's this one location. And the lighting is so good.
It's creepy. A lot of times when they adapt Stephen King stuff, it just loses something. And every time a good one comes out, it instills that creepiness vibe that you put on Stephen King's writing. Every once in a while you get it. But this short trailer, it made me feel like they're going at least they're trying to go in the right direction with this. So they're not force feeding it. They're setting the mood and setting tone and whatnot. So I'm excited. Epics.
All right. Screen Rant shows us Sex and the City reboot reveals first look at Carrie's new best friend.
So I put this up there because I have unfortunately watched all of Sex and the City because I was dating.
Hey, that show
Don't
is
say
good.
unfortunately. That show was great.
Yeah.
So I was not a big fan of the show, and
I never finished it though.
It appears that the only thing that I really liked about the show is not going to be on the show anymore.
Samantha.
So
She was my favorite too.
it's the next chapter of the Sex and the City. Just like that is the subtitle.
You all right there, babe?
I don't know about this, man. I just, who is this for? Who is asking for this?
Definitely
I
not
like-
Cattrall. Kim Cattrall is not asking for
no,
this.
clearly not. I like this as much as, I like the original show as much as, not a super fan, but as much as anyone else. And the second movie was not a good idea, and I don't know why they would go back to this well again. And I wonder how some of the content from the original series is going to play in the continuity of this, given that the world is completely different with regard to a lot of the subjects that they dealt with.
Yep.
Sex and relationships and how, people treat each other and whatnot, and, people's, gender identities being a lot more varied now, and
What
all
the
of
fuck
that.
is Carrie's job going to be?
Yeah, I mean...
That was already pushing it back
she
when the
was
show
blocked.
was
She
out.
was-
Well,
She'll be a
she
blogger.
married big, so her job is trophy wife, except I believe I read somewhere that they're getting divorced. That's in the plot of this.
I am shocked
so-
that they didn't replace Cattrall with a woman of color in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna watch it because, morbid curiosity, but I'm not excited about it.
I'm definitely feeling the same. I'm curious about it, but I'm also not excited. And it did say in the article that it looks like they're going to be exploring society as it is now and how it relates to the characters and how they've grown. So hopefully they have grown as people, because oh my god, Carrie Bradshaw irritates the shit out of me.
As she should. She irritates everybody. She's the worst.
She was not for me. Like the supporting cast was more interesting than she was, and I just don't know without Samantha if I care enough to go back to it, other than the morbid curiosity. And this is just another one of those things where it's like, I liked it for what it was. I don't need to go back to this because it excites me. There's other stuff. Television in some ways is starting to make me feel like comics. It just keeps bringing back shit that should be let alone.
Are
Make
no
a new story.
ideas, honey. All of the ideas have been
And,
used.
I'll take Shadow and Bone. Fuck it.
And just to clarify my point, I didn't mean to say that there weren't people of many different gender identities during the time of the original run, just that they weren't
Prominent.
mainstream recognized, or people weren't, fewer people were out as those things, not that they didn't exist.
And I feel like they did a good job, at least with exploring sexuality. I feel like they did cover some of that in the show. So, that seemed, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm just, inserting that into a memory, but I really did feel like they did stuff that I didn't see in other television at that time, and that's cool. I don't know what this show is going to have to offer now. I really don't. So, morbid curiosity for the win. Yay.
No, not for the win. Just for the meh.
Meh.
Fair.
Oh my goodness. All right, what do we got left here? Oh my goodness, the Y the Last Man official trailer happened.
Yes.
Yeah, looks great. Looks great. I'm into it.
Do you
All of
guys
this.
actually believe it's going to happen now? Now
Nope.
that there's an official trailer?
Nope.
And it's like got a release date that's a month from now?
Until
Nope.
I see it, the episode air with my own eyes, they can still be like, never mind, it's canceled.
Yeah.
Why?
And
No.
I'm so scared that this is going to be something that I'm like super into and I'm really ready for it, and then it's
shit,
going to
we
get
lost
canceled.
FX.
Yeah, like FX is going to light on fire or something. I don't know. Oh my God, please.
This looks really good.
The trailer,
looks great.
It
yeah,
does.
and I don't remember in the comic, like I haven't read it in a while, but I don't remember them actually showing everything that happened in the beginning of this series. Like you just follow, like I think you're just with Yurik. Like you just start with him, and you just go, and like he kind of talks about it, but there's not a whole lot of like this looks. It's gonna really get into it, and I think it's gonna do it in such a good way. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Sorry.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. I'm still nervous as hell.
I
but
know.
Looks good.
Looks good.
I'm so
Looks
excited.
Good. Yeah.
It's good.
But they're
Good, good,
keeping, like, everything I've seen so far really seems to follow the essence of what I like about the comic. And I haven't even finished the series yet. So, like, just give it to me now. I'm trying to just wait to finish reading the comic so I can enjoy the show for what it is, because I've learned that that's probably the better way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, please and thank you. Oh my God,
All
do you
right,
know
let's-
this means that
let's
we're
keep
going to get a
this going.
Saga show at some point? We're going to have it.
You get a what?
We'll get Saga at some point.
Yeah, at some point. Absolutely will. Moving on.
Hollywood Reporter, Magnolia Network renews 9 series. Sets expanded fall slate exclusive.
Okay.
What?
So, in our household, we are big Chip and Joanna Gaines fans. Fixer Upper, like we just like them, and not only as a couple but as entertainers. The cooking shows and the all of their Fixer Upper-esque stuff. They started a pseudo network on Discovery Plus that they have a number of different shows renewing. It's all in the vein of cooking show, design,
Clint got a show.
and that was the biggest thing. Like, my favorite part of Fixer Upper is when they go to their woodworker contractor, Clint, to say, hey, we need this specific table fixed, or we need you to design this thing, or we need this built out of wood or repurposed wood. And their carpenter is Clint Harp, and he is getting a show called Restoration Road. Or he's getting a second season for his show Restoration Road with Clint Harp, where he goes to historical places or historical structures and restores them, which that is so interesting to me. But you got Restoration Road, you got Super Dad's getting a second season, Point of View, a designer's profile, Lost Kitchen, In the Works, which is INN, which is about, epic renovations and whatnot. Homegrown, First Time Fixer, Family Dinner, and Magnolia Table, which is the Joanna Gaines cooking show, the Kate Button Project, The Established Home, Art and Bloom with Helen Daltrey, In with the Old, a new series, and Jesus Criminy, an American Story, Making Modern with Brooke and Bryce, and Rebuilding Hope, The Children of 9/11. I read these backwards because that was also really super interesting to me. It's a documentary series about 4 families whose children were born after their fathers had passed away during 9/11, to see where their lives are and how that situation has changed their family dynamic over the past 20 years. So I'm really interested in a lot of the shows that are showing up on this network. So just wanted to let everybody know that stuff is available, because we don't normally talk about that stuff, that type of television.
And it's good. I like their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Neat. Okay, well then let's finish things out with the.
I think this is the right thing to finish out with, right, Kris?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Cobra Kai Season 4. This trailer doesn't show a whole lot new, which is fine. Just a lot of montagey, fighty bits. Of course, more scenes from Karate Kid. It's almost like it's done like a trailer for the All Valley tournament itself.
That's what I loved about it.
Yeah, it's a neat little trailer, and then you get this like really really quick bits go by. You see Terry Silver putting his ponytail in. You see there's a single shot of Miguel training with Danny, which is like really nice. I kind of want to rewatch the show a bit because I feel like it's been a while and I've forgotten some details of at least season 3.
Yeah, and season 3 went by so fast. Like, I remember watching it with and like we got to the end and I was like, wait, that's it? Wait, what? Wait? And I wasn't ready for this.
And that's the danger of binging seasons. I hate having to wait a week for the next What If. I hate having to wait a week, but it's better for the show and it's better for my brain. Because I'm gonna binge the crap out of this. I'm gonna watch it as fast as humanly possible because that's just the way it's gonna work for me.
I'm gonna throw something out there. I'm gonna throw out an ulterior way to look at this. If we binge it and we get that whole lump in one shot and we watch it and we enjoy the shit out of it, like it's great and we talk about it and we have a good time with it, then we get to watch it again almost as if it's new before the next season comes up. We are refreshed. We get that second burst of excitement for the thing that we really liked. Is that better than the slow burn of enjoyment throughout the entirety of a season, which is spotted with points of, God, I fucking hate waiting for this?
I say no, especially on a show that's so connected like this, where you get shows like Loki and WandaVision and whatnot, where we'd get a week of thinking what's going to happen next. Whereas What If is very segmented. Like this next episode's not going to connect to the first episode really, although apparently they're all going to kind of converge at the end, maybe. But I don't know. We've had this conversation before, and I definitely think that the week to week, as painful as it is just better for the show because people aren't going to, just like it happened with Stranger Things. People stopped talking about it within like a week. The season of Stranger Things dropped and it was like everyone in the world talked about it for like a week, but then everyone stopped because they saw it and then it's over. And then you get something like WandaVision and it stays in the collective consciousness for like a month and change because they keep releasing new ones every week. There's something to talk about.
Okay. I like the opportunity to rewatch it a second time and get as much enjoyment out of it. I don't think
I like week to week. Sorry, babe.
And it's absolutely fine. I feel like I'm not gonna rewatch What If once it's all done. Like I don't think that's gonna happen.
Really?
Yeah.
And you think you would if you were able to watch it all at once? Like it's not going to bleed together like it's one big story. That's the difference with something like this. This is
Ted Lasso. I've glutted season 1. I doubt I'm going to go back to that.
Well, in a couple
not
of years,
even to
maybe
watch
you
it
will.
with me.
I mean, I will tune in when now you can watch it. Like you don't have to wait for me. That was the problem. We were trying to find things that we could watch by ourselves, and I started watching Ted, and I made it through a season in like a day and a half. It just happened.
That show's hard to put down.
That's fine. I'm not mad about it. Eventually, I'll watch TV again. Maybe. I don't know. I have a wedding to plan.
All right. Speaking of weddings to plan, it's getting late. So, Cobra Kai Season 4 looks great. We're all excited about it. Yay, TV.
Woo.
It's good to be back. And that's our show. Sorry, I had a little gunk in the old throat there. Anyway, this week's episode is not filmed before a live studio audience, but it is fueled by feedback from listeners like you. And you can get in touch with us in a multitude of ways. We have an official Geekade Discord, where there's an entire This Week's Episode channel dedicated to all things TV talk. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram through the official Geekade channels or the more specific Twepcast accounts. And of course, the four of us can be found in various ways. I'm available on Twitter at Geekade Kris, that's Geekade Kris, and you can read my work at StoneAgeGamer.com and in the pages of Nintendo Force magazine. Karen, where can people find you?
I am available at STM Stitches on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Etsy.
Angie, where can people find you?
You can find me on all of the socials at Afernot, AFERNOT.
And Evan, where can people find you?
All of my socials are at geekade_Evan. And please, gang, check out memorylanecomics.com for Tales of Cape Fear issues 1.
It's MLCshop.com.
MLC
Get
Shop.
it right.
There will be a link, but please, my baby put a lot of work into that. Check that out for her, seeing as she's not doing the promotion that she should be doing.
Yeah, grab an issue. And then maybe email them and tell them that you want me to sign it. I don't know. Just saying.
Any Hoosers. Where'd my script go? Oh, there it is. If you need to know more about the shows we discussed tonight or what we'll be watching in the future, have a look at our show notes. And if you have any other questions at all, we can always be reached at mail@geekade.com. Just include the words "this week's episode" in the subject line so we know who you're trying to reach. This show is available anywhere fine podcasts are sold, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, maybe YouTube, and more. And wherever you decide to listen, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, and leave reviews because any and all feedback is welcome and appreciated. Again, as always, keep your eyes on geekade.com for more fresh original content. Give us a refresher on what our homework is, Evan.
Our homework is Ultra City Smiths Season 1, Episode 1, She Don't Care.
She sure don't. All right, guys, that's all we've got. Thanks for listening. And yeah, I'm Kris.
I'm Karen.
I'm Angie.
McLeod!
Good night.
Hey gang, here's just a friendly reminder that we over at Geekade are working with ewinracing.com. Right now, if you head on over to their site, check out all of their gaming chairs and gaming desks. And if you choose something and you enter in the promo code Geekade at checkout, you get an additional 20% off. That's ewinracing.com for the best gaming chairs and desks that you can find on the internet.
And this concludes our broadcast day.